very good evening and a warm welcome to one and all. We have with us today for our media interaction Shri Anand Sharma ji, who has been an ex-Union Minister. He is at this point in time the leader of the opposition, deputy leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. He would be addressing the media. And before I hand over the charge to him, I just wanted to welcome Mr. MC Narnaya, who is going to be a senior spokesperson of the media department in Karnataka. So I would want to extend him a warm welcome into the Congress family. So I would request Anand Sharma ji to take this interaction forward.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, friends. The Prime Minister has been campaigning in Karnataka. We have no quarrels. Clearly, in an election, in an important state, there are bound to be issues that are raised. But one does expect from the Prime Minister of the Republic of India to conduct his campaign keeping in mind his responsibilities as a Prime Minister and the dignity of his office. Unfortunately, Narendra Modi habitually is assaulting the dignity of his own office by the kind of expression and the language that he normally uses. He has said things which are not true. And I want to put this straight on record, that his government's very foundations are on false promises, lies, deceit, propaganda, and boastful claims. It has become the hallmark. Pradhan Mantri Shri Narendra Modi is, but he is also the Pradhan Pracharak of the BJP. But he has to understand that what he claims and says as the Prime Minister should have at least a ring of sincerity and truth. Unfortunately, it lacks both. The government has said, and suddenly, keeping in mind the Karnataka elections, that they have created 15 million jobs in India. Now this is yet another lie and a false claim. And they have based it on the EFPO data, Employees Provident Fund Organization, EPFO. The fact is that EPFO database is very small. It connects only with 60 million of the workforce. That is 15% of the 400 million total workforce of the country. There have been comprehensive surveys undertaken by the prestigious, respected institutions, including the CMIE, and the latest Consumer Pyramids Household Survey, which is published, it's in public domain, makes it very clear that only 1.4 million jobs got created. That's not factoring in the jobs lost. So what the government is trying to sell as its achievement is a non-achievement, but falsehood. Because it's only the formalization of this number, those who are already working, by bringing them on the Provident Fund platform. There have been heavy job losses which again the CBS survey, household survey has shown. The biggest, biggest job losses happen in the 15 to 19 years age group, coming down from 20% to 9%. In the 20 years to 24 year as the age group, it has come down by 7 percentage points. When you look at the women's labour placement ratio in the country, it has come down and stays there. It has not recovered post demonetization to 12% from the earlier 16%. So as I've said, that this is a myth that is being sold just to mislead the youth, and coming from a Prime Minister who has sold false promises and hopes to the youth of India, and for that matter to the people of India. Let's not forget that the time has come, Mr. Prime Minister, to give an account of your performance and non-performance, to tell the people where are the 8 crore jobs as you are about to complete 4 years in office. He is not talking about that. The other thing which he said yesterday in Karnataka, and having a dig at Congress President Shri Rahul Gandhi, that Shri Rahul Gandhi has not celebrated the government's claim of 100% electrification. I am surprised that the Prime Minister said it. Either he is ill-informed, which I doubt. So it is very clear that what has been said or claimed by the government is only at his behest. The government's own numbers are very clear. Even after the launch of the much acclaimed Prime Minister's scheme of Saubhagya, the rural households which have been covered nationally are only 83%. There is a balance of 17% in the country to be electrified. The total rural households in the country are 22.44 crores, and those electrified are 18.91 crores. There is a balance of 5 crore and 9 lakhs household. Prime Minister had also commented as to what the Congress and the UP had done. When he took oath of office, there were only 18,542 villages left. If you look at the Economic Survey of India, which is a document of this government, which will give you the clear numbers, that between 2005 and 2014, 1,08,000 households got electrified. Let me tell you, since Prime Minister is very much obsessed with talking about the past, that in 1947, we had only 1,500 of the 6 lakh villages which were electrified. So when Mr. Shri Narendra Modi ji took office, of those 6.5 lakh, there were only 18,500 left. So let him learn to say the truth or to keep quiet, rather than question the wisdom of the people of India. Because he must know that he will be questioned, he will be challenged. He is intolerant, he is disrespectful towards his opponents. But that doesn't mean that the opposition, as the Indian National Congress, shall not expose their lies and their betrayal. Prime Minister must also answer for all what he said and promised to the people of India in 2014. I would like to remind you, besides the 2 crore jobs, he promised security for the women. He promised 50% plus the cost of production to the Indian farmer. Among the many things, they all looked very attractive. There is the 100 smart cities and all the words that he has been using for the last 4 years. Stand Up India, Start Up India, Hello India. I've forgotten how many times where India is being led to and in which direction he wants this country to go. When he comes here, ask him, where are the MSP for the farmers? This government has literally, after youth, it is the farmers and the women and the most vulnerable sections of the society who are suffering today. Let the Prime Minister of India, after 4 years, show to the world one smart city. This is a challenge to him. The fact is, in the first 4 years, farmers have been neglected. We have the charts, those have been released earlier. For every crop, you will see that the MSP is much less than what the farmers were promised. Women in the country are insecure. Our head hangs in shame over what's happening. When international organizations are asking. I won't go into details, but whether it's the IMF, whether it's the United Nations, whether it's the Human Rights Commission in Geneva, they all have recently asked questions of us. He has to answer. He must answer to the country what has happened to the Nirbhay Fund. How many special dedicated women's police stations have come up in the country, which he had promised? How many have come up in nation's capital? And how much have come up even in the state of Gujarat or in the city of Ahmedabad? Let them come out with a list. Another issue I want to flag is of this claim of the Prime Minister of being a chowkidar, a watchman. Under his watch, people's money has been plundered, banks defrauded. The total loss which has come is about 61,000 crores. And those are individuals who are known to the Prime Minister, known to the BJP President, and they were allowed to run away from the country and happily invited for framed photograph with the Prime Minister in Davos. You must know, ladies and gentlemen, what a framed photograph with the Prime Minister means. It is all vetted, cleared by the security before anybody can occupy a seat or a position, sitting or standing, in a framed picture with the Prime Minister of India, or for that matter, of any country. I say that because even as a cabinet minister, for framed photographs, strangers were not allowed. So these are the questions of Nirav Modi or Mehul Chokshi. Why is the Prime Minister silent? Why is he silent? How many lakh crores of loans have been written off for big industry? How many of them are his or BJP President's cronies? We have released the list. We shall do so again. But the Prime Minister is a master of deception, duplicity and deflection. He will not answer. He will not respond. He will point in another direction instead of giving an account for the betrayal, non-performance and the acts of commission and omission. Prime Minister has not uttered a word. How come? A new business model has been created by BJP President's son, where the Profits have multiplied 80,000 times. From 50,000 your income earnings go up to 80 crore, something like that. How come the share of a company which is unheard of? There are so many thousands of companies in India before 2014, of that matter before 2018, until very recently, are sold for 10,000 rupees per share. Please check which company in India has a share value of 10,000. Neither the Reliance or Mukesh Ambani has it. Not even a single company of Tata has had it. You go on. Talk of the first 100 Indian companies, listed companies. So what is the special thing that a minister's company is sold within weeks after you become a minister? And 10,000 rupees per share, because Prime Minister must share these two business models with the youth of the country, because he wants them that they should have their own enterprise. His ministers have said insulting things about the unemployed youth as to what they should do. We will not get into that. But let him reveal and let him respond. We have said in the past that there cannot be two regimes. This country is not governed by two sets of rules or two sets of laws. We are a rule-based, rule-governed country. So the Prime Minister must stand up and tell the country where there are new laws which govern his ministers and his chief ministers. That he must answer. Last, on corruption. Yesterday, my colleague Randeep Surjewala has talked to you about Rafael Jetty. But one important issue here is that by his actions, which are arbitrary, which had no sanction, no authorization from the Cabinet Committee of Security, he has compromised the very security of India. I am here in the city of Banglore. Our government had cleared it, and I was part of that cabinet. I was a member of that cabinet. The purchase of 126 Rafale jet fighters, with each platform costing approximately 575 crores. 18 were to be purchased directly, and 108 were to be made by the HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, for which they had a past working relationship with Dassault, the French company, because HAL has the assembly lines for Mirage. And there's also two important things which were integral to the defense acquisition policy which was followed by the Congress government, that is transfer of technology and assimilation of those technologies for manufacturing in India, and the offset. So the offset of almost 38,000 crores was to come to HAL, and HAL and Dassault had finalized and negotiated, and that was on the table, the agreement. So who is going to ask these questions of the Prime Minister? And that's what we want to tell the people of Karnataka. He has come here, and the BJP is celebrating that their savior has come. He will not be able to save either the BJP, nor he and his alter ego, Shri Amit Shah, together, Shri Yadurappa, and they brought in all those people. Look at their hypocrisy and double standards. Who are these Reddy brothers? What is the Bellary mining mafia? Who has closed the CBI cases? There are 9 ports which were used. 4 states the cases were registered. one after the other. The CBI closes the cases. So anybody who is connected to them, suddenly they become good and their political opponents become bad. Before I conclude, I want to say a few about the state of the Indian economy. This economy, unlike the claims of the government, is not a galloping economy but a gasping economy. It's a struggling economy. This government started presenting the number again by deceit. The GDP numbers were inflated with an inbuilt bonus of 2 percentage points. And yet they are nowhere there where the average, 10-year average of the UPA Congress government was, 8.2. You go by the old series and the old methodology of the calculation of the GDP, you will find that what this government is saying is far removed from the ground reality. We have challenged the government and repeating that again, publish the 10-year numbers of the GDP today, release them. They are ready. I have personally spoken to the Chief Statistical Officer of the Government of India. As per the old series and as per the new series, let the people see how much big is the gap. And if we go by their series, then for 4 consecutive years under Congress government, we were growing in double digit. Ask them, what is India's GDP today? We left at 2.2 trillion, quadrupling in 1 decade, making India the first country in the world after the first industrial revolution to achieve this. So as economy is concerned, I charge this government of gross mismanagement. Investment and manufacturing both have collapsed. Is the lowest. Capital formation remains in the negative. Industrial credit offtake hits the lowest of 60 years, not 1 decade or 2 decades, under this government. So when these are the parameters, where has the economy grown? And take the number of exports. We have left at close to 320 billion US dollars only of merchandise exports, doubling in the 4 years after the financial crisis and the economic crisis. Picking up from 157 and touching 316, 317 somewhere there, billion US dollars. What has happened in these 4 years? It was growing at 17%. We should have touched 500 billion. They have crawled this year to 302 after 4 years. This is the fact. So when I am talking of 209, what is the number which comes to? 302 to 500, 298. 298 billion. Please calculate in rupees how much of the money which should have come to the country has been lost. Look at the trade deficit. And this is despite the fact that this government is making huge saving in the oil import bill. Congress UPA government, last oil import bill was 190 billion US dollars. In their first year itself, they saved more than 90 billion. Oil prices crashed. But for the recent spurt, still the prices are nowhere near where we were importing. The crude prices were between 105 US dollars to 124 US dollars per barrel. And you check what was the availability, or what was the retail price of petrol and diesel, even in the city of Banglore or in the national capital in May 2014, and what is the price which the consumers are paying today. These are the windfall gains. But for the fall in the international petroleum prices, Indian economy would have been in the ICU. this is a reality. So therefore, Prime Minister should know the time has come. The countdown of the BJP will start from Karnataka. He is no more riding that tsunami of hopes and aspirations. He is in the departure lounge. His government is in the departure lounge. People of India are not disappointed, but fed up of untruths, lies, false promises, false claims, insulting the wisdom of the people, and they are waiting to send them off. Our regret will be he has not been able, though his priorities are flawed, he has not taken forward the Chennai, Banglore, Chitradurga industrial corridor. His government has not, what we started. We extended it up to Chitradurga. We cleared 4 national and investment manufacturing zones. Tumkur, Kolar, Bidar and Gulbarga, and one was taken forward, the other had some difficulties. But the then government of India had cleared 4 as requested by the state of Karnataka. Nor had they taken forward the Bangalore-Mumbai economic corridor. As I use this word, flawed priorities, his priority is bullet train to Ahmedabad. Everybody understands. Whether Shinzo Abe comes, he has to go to Ahmedabad. Xi Jinping comes, he has to go to Ahmedabad. Passengers train and amenities need not be improved, but a bullet train has to, the country has to spend, the country has to pay. Had he completed it, his country would have happily shown the green flag for that train, putting him in it in 2019. So that's what I wanted to say. Now, if there are any questions,